Hello, it's Tom here from FDS, and today we are coming from the historic port of Dartmouth, and we've got some interviews and exclusive content from Blastersmiths UK. And those of you who know the guys, fear not, I shan't be testing this cannon on mic, tempting as it is. So I thought, well, the weather was nice, I'd just give you guys a little flavour of the town by coming out here to do my introduction. Hi there, it's Tom again from FDS, and we've been having a filming day together with Blastersmiths UK today. So I've taken the opportunity to grab Mike before he runs away back to Bristol and do a quick interview. So I've got a couple of basic questions, and Mike's kindly agreed to show us his personal rig as well, which he's wearing, which is not designed to be sat down in, incidentally, so he's really having an endurance thing here. So you've got to feel sorry for him. He's kind of boiling the bag Nerf here, and we're going to get him stood up in a bit, and he'll run you through this exclusive rig of his that he handmade himself. So, first of all, Mike, obviously Blastersmiths UK is now the biggest retailer of tactical equipment specifically for Nerf in the world. You have more options than any other supplier. Obviously you're known for your custom work and for your wide choice of materials and your 3D printing. And I think a lot of people probably want to know how that started as a company.
Long story short, we decided that real life was a boring option, and that we wanted to take the sort of skills and bits and pieces that we learned at university, as in our societies and bits and pieces, and take the skills and move forward and do something that was interesting and fun rather than having a boring 9-to-5 office job. So Steve, Iona, and I, we were all friends from university through Zan, our zombie society, playing a lot of Nerf. And we identified a market need, took our student loans and moved forward and designed holsters and bits and pieces that we saw people needed. We were watching people fall about with gaffer tape holsters, cardboard, bits and pieces like that, and we thought, well, it's entirely possible to produce elements that will, holsters and bits and pieces at a price that students can afford. And so we decided to exploit the market need and sort of produce the gear that we know and love today. And we've always been based in that student ethos, that idea of producing something that's accessible to everybody, anybody can use, at a price point that obviously people can afford, because we're not all top flight, loaded and everything. We all have day jobs, so we want to be able to produce top quality for as little as possible.
And obviously you guys have a lead time with your equipment of 1 to 2 weeks. Now, I know some people may not be familiar with that as a concept, in that they're used to buying store-bought items where stock is there, you buy from stock and you receive your item and it's mass-produced. Could you explain just very briefly for people how that lead time works, where that time goes essentially?
So when an order comes in, we keep nothing in stock. Everything in the office and in the workshops is raw materials. So it's fabric, it's bottles, it's straps, it's plastic, it's filament, it's air, and so what we do is we take our materials and we make it custom to order. Now that gives us two advantages. One, it means we can keep our prices down because we don't keep a large amount of stock in situ, so we don't have to worry about holding on to dozens of things that don't sell. So we can buy materials and transform it into anything, and that's the second advantage, that we can take absolutely any design that somebody throws at us and we can produce something. So if you have something that you want to exist that doesn't do it on our store, you have an idea for a product or something, chances are we're already probably working on it anyway. But if you've got custom colours, different colour webbing, you've got a different body size. We have people who we've worked with in the past who have special mobility needs, who we've helped develop products to access. Those lead times are critical to ours to build a product from the ground up and then ship it out. And it's an important thing to realise that quite often it's less than 2 weeks. We say 2 weeks, but that's to give us breathing room to design and work and build and work around other things in our lives. But also to sometimes take a little bit more care if somebody has a very exacting standard, which some customers do. So those lead times are there to allow us to be flexible, but also be.
A lot of the products you've worked have been developed in-house. And our kind of collaboration between FDS and Blastersmiths started really with testing.
Yes.
And obviously testing has always been a key part of your company ethos. I understand that all of that has gone through extensive combat testing, and your group is one of the longest running groups in the UK, Buzan, and certainly as players, you guys play a lot, I'm given to understand now. If you could give people out there an idea of what the team behind Blastersmiths play and how much they play, I think that would be really valuable to them.
Okay, so our play really follows two thrusts these days. We still play our traditional HVZ, so indoor HVZ, closed arena, half the size of an average football pitch, very intense, short rounds, 3 to 4 minutes tops, and it's very high pressure, very sort of immediate,
So that gear access needs to be really quick, and it needs to be very reliable.
Our holsters need to be snap action, magazines need to be readily available, you've got to be able to dump, you've got to be able to go through the whole cycle of using the kit really intensively, very, very, very quickly. Your gear has to be top notch for that. Our other thread of testing these days is with the Green Cloaks LARP system down in Sussex. We attend their events each year now, sort of 4 times a year, and we spend a whole weekend in a woodland essentially. And we have to design kit that will put up with us rolling through bushes, jumping out of trees, rolling down hills, being hit with things, stuff.
And so that test cycle would include, for example, things like your switch kits and your electric mods and the other parts that you do are put through that same test cycle of being intensively used in play. And I think this is one of the things that makes your company unique, and certainly amongst current aftermarket parts companies, is your test regime. And then obviously I do some independent verification for you and a lot of your field testing, and actually you guys hold data for most of your products, don't you now? And data is available for people if they want them. There's often links on the product page to data for those items, everything from motor upgrades, springs, all that stuff, the wiring for those motor upgrades has all been thoroughly tested, which I think is a really, really good thing. So moving away from the gear that you build, obviously you're part of quite a wide scene now, and we have the UK has this very big Nerf LARP scene now, certainly in the southeast of England, around the home counties in London, which is less good for the rest of us who live in other parts. And the wilds of the southwest and the areas north of Birmingham, there is some LARP there, but not as much. Where do you see the UK scene going in the next few years? I mean, you've been in it for quite a while now.
4 years as of December. Just gone. So I think we're going to see, Brit Nerf is growing. We punch very much above our weight development-wise.
Definitely.
A lot of members coming through. We're looking more towards sort of indoor wars, close combat, and pieces like that. There are a lot of efforts to get sites where we can have...
Yeah, and obviously our climate really doesn't help with that.
Obviously being British, it's a nightmare with the weather, but having indoor sites that we can play, close quarters combat and pieces like that, there's a lot of push to do that. Obviously there will be the regular park wars that we have already, bagging and all the rest of it. So I'll see a lot of growth in that, but also there are several new LARPs coming through, Nerf LARP style, Starborn, etc., are all sort of looking in that sort of space. Green Cloaks is growing, as I say, they're up to 150 players now, and they'll keep going beyond that. So that's the biggest sink of Nerf LARPs in a single event in the UK.
And obviously, in terms of hobby level Nerf, I mean, you guys are now the kind of main supplier for the UK for those hobby level Nerf parts, and we work with a number of other people who build and supply and various things, and you can get some of that stuff custom order. Obviously UK Nerf War is known for its blaster building. I do the odd commission, and yourselves have been approached for commissions in the past.
Yeah, we usually have to defer commissions for various regulatory reasons.
Yeah.
But so always send people to suppliers that we would recommend ourselves.
So there you go. If you do go through them, they won't build you a blaster because that's not their job. That's not what their company does. But they do have people, despite the name, they don't build blasters to order. But there are a number of commissioners in the UK that you can go to if you like the stuff that we build. And we've struggled with traditional kind of NIC type or organised wars from the web. Do you think there's a real reason why we're not getting those 50 attendees for these big outdoor games that we were hoping for?
The interesting thing with the UK is obviously we say the weather, but also super stock class as a sort of idea is only just becoming a thing really. The issue in the States is they have their access to PVC and other materials. So you get a lot more sort of snowballing effect. Whereas in the UK with the release of the Elite line and other elements from Hasbro, we're seeing a more sort of readily accessible sort of equivalent, as it were. And so we're limited obviously by the climate. But we will also find now that as these sort of products become more accessible to people, people are going to find it easier to go out and actually engage rather than having a blaster that sucks and not being able to do anything about it, which was the previous case, and actually then be able to move forward with engaging with.
And I think that's a key thing that we've always tried to do. I know BSUK have supported a lot of events in the UK, and I think it's easy to sit at home and to say, oh, they're just a corporate company, they just want to take our money. And actually, I think when you see the people involved and the time that goes in and the amount of money that it costs you to do all of these events, that really it's coming straight out of your pocket, essentially, and you've provided insurance for wars, you've provided organisation for wars, you've even staffed games in the past as a team, despite having to have a 9-to-5 job, right, that sometimes becomes a 7 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock at night job, and involves weekend work and other things as you go and tour to events. So I think, anybody who sits at home and says, oh, you know, they're not contributing, they're just taking our money, I think that's not true. If you do take the time to come to some of our wars and shoot Mike a few times, you'll see that really they do put a lot back in, and I think it's easy to sit back and be critical of somebody or a company without actually seeing the engagement work they do. And obviously a lot of your stuff is open source. It's a key part of your philosophy, that open source philosophy.
All of our circuits and everything are all published, all of our software code, everything is all published. Obviously the only things we keep proprietary obviously are 3D models and bits and pieces, so obviously we have to make a living somehow. But certainly, you know, if you take a look at any of our wiring kit, the circuit diagram is always there, the fitting instruction is always there. So even if you don't want to support us as a company because you feel you can do it cheaper, then you know we're still contributing insofar as those diagrams, those elements are all still there. And
we're going to very quickly run. Mike wants to run through his personal rig for you, and that's exclusive. That's not appeared anywhere else. So that's a FDS exclusive of this handmade Juliet for you.